First of all, I'm honored. Thank you, Russell, for having me to come and speak. And I do apologize if the picture presentation does happen. It is powered by PowerPoint. I apologize for that. But there aren't any, there are no bullet points. It's just pictures in case you get bored and you can stare at that instead of me. I will also go ahead and say that I definitely made a C in public speaking at Clemson. So just preparing you for that. So really, they called and asked me if I wanted to do this, and asked if I wanted to come and kind of talk about Greenbrier and kind of what brought us to Greenbrier and kind of what got us started. So Greenbrier as a farm is about a 300-acre farm in Easley is the address, but we're in a little town called Dacusville. They won't give us a post office, so we are Easley for now. But a little town called Dacusville, about 20 minutes from town, going straight out Highway 183. And we do certified organic produce, we do pastured pork and grass-fed beef. We also do a lot of events, weddings, corporate events, parties, dinners, that sort of thing. So quite a few things going on at the farm, and we stay busy with it for sure. So kind of the story of the farm and how it got started really is, it was started by my aunt and uncle, Joyce and John Palmer. And they, it was my mom's sister, and they bought the land in 1988, and they were living in Dacusville. They were doing horses at the time, Morgan horses, and showing them, and they were living on a farm a little ways away from the land that we're on now. And my uncle bought the land to develop it. He was actually a contractor and was building schools and banks and that sort of thing, and bought it to develop it and put houses on it. And along about that same time that happened, he purchased the land. He was diagnosed with a rare form of kidney cancer. And at the time, they were kind of high-flying, really doing their thing, business going crazy, and it really kind of made them take a step back and say, what is life really about for us? Are we going to stay in this fast lane, or are we going to slow down? And after a little bit of time and taking the horses over to this land and riding them on there, he kind of fell in love with that piece of land. It was the original 75 acres that he had bought there. And they decided to build there and kind of scale back on life in general, and decide to kind of start doing a little bit of farming on the side and scale way back on the construction end of things, and just to kind of enjoy life for what it is, because at that point he didn't know. The days were semi-numbered for him. It was a rare form of cancer, not really a lot of cures there at the time, and or not cures, but treatments and that sort of thing. So at that time he was going to Duke University and to do treatment, kind of a experimental treatment, I guess, and the doctor started talking to him about diet. Hey, maybe you should try to think about what you're eating. And they brought up the word organic and grass-fed meats. And keep in mind, this is in like 1989, and people look at you funny when you said organic back then. It was not like today. So it was a situation where they kind of decided that, hey, this doctor probably knows what he's talking about a little more than we do. Let's give it a shot. So they started cutting it. They stopped feeding corn to their animals and started going grass-fed there, and started trying to source organic food and started to live that lifestyle. And it really rubbed off on me a lot. So kind of at the same time, I was elementary, middle school age, and I grew up in a cul-de-sac. I was riding bikes and playing Nintendo. I did not grow up in a farm family at all. But my mom would ship me off to the farm once they got kind of going and had cows and things to do and baling hay. They would ship me off for about 3 weeks every summer to go stay with my aunt and uncle at the farm. And I really loved it. I went out there and would bale hay and work with everybody that was working there. Zero pay involved. Just, I would say, what do I get paid? And they'd say, the meal that you ate tonight and the roof over your head, pat on the butt, get back to work. But my uncle was a hardworking man. I learned a lot of lessons from him. But anyway, I just really kind of enjoyed that, working together with a team to accomplish this physical task. And at the end of the day, you can sign your name to it and, barely eat dinner and fall asleep, before you even make it to bed. I just really enjoyed that. And at the time, it was back brain. It wasn't front brain. I wasn't thinking to myself, man, I really enjoy this. I want to be a farmer one day. I was just being a kid and enjoying the fact that I was there instead of running around the streets of the neighborhood where I lived. I just really enjoyed that. And so time went on. I went through high school, and pretty much every summer was going out there. And then I went off to college and kind of did my thing there. And I actually started out at Clemson pre-vet because I thought I wanted to be a large animal vet because of the cows and things that were going on at the farm. Decided I wanted to socialize a little more than I wanted to go to vet school, and ended up graduating with a different piece of paper altogether. But anyway, so I finished Clemson and was started working for a local food distributor called PYA Monarch at the time. It's since been bought out by U.S. Food Service, but I was selling groceries, which is kind of ironic. So along comes 2007. My wife and I are living here in downtown Greenville. We had a little bungalow in North Main doing our thing, and I was working, and she was working for a local marketing company. And my uncle cancer finally got him and got the end of him. And in September 2007, he passed away. And along the same time, I was kind of laying in bed every night going, I was probably 28, 29, 30 years old right in this time, and I was, and not this, please don't let this offend anyone, but I was like, I can't do this 9 to 5 thing for the rest of my life. Is this really what it's supposed to be like, the same thing from here forever? And I really struggled with it. So at the same time that my uncle passed away, and my aunt had hired a farm manager, because one thing she realized is, because my uncle always handled the finances and that sort of thing, is that this farm that they had started was fun. It was a hobby farm, but it cost money, and it cost a lot of money every month to run. And so she was like, wow, I didn't realize that, and I've got to figure out a way for this thing to become profitable. So at that time, she hires a farm manager, just a completely different guy. I hired him off the street, and I was still kind of doing my thing and wishing I could be that guy, but never said anything. I didn't want to be the greedy nephew that, was like, hey, I want to come and take care of that. She hired another guy, and over the course of that next year, I could just see that she was getting taken. I mean, the guy was sitting in the office playing solitaire. Hey, we'll go to market next year. We'll grow a couple of things here and there, but you could just tell that things weren't going well. And I could see the stress with my aunt, because we had kind of gotten closer again since my uncle had passed away. So anyway, at that time, in late 2008, my wife, Amy, lost her job. And she was working for a real estate marketing company, and obviously real estate was not doing real well in 2008. So that was at about the time where I finally brought it up to her and said, hey, I think we need to make a go at this. I think that we need to put a business plan together, make a go of it, and see. I don't know, I grew 3 squash plants this summer. That sounds about right. That's about my experience, what it was in farming at the time. So anyway, really, we decided, hey, let's put a business plan together and present it to my aunt and see what happens. And we did, and she bit and said, yes, please, thank you. We worked out a deal where I'd come and work for her for a year and try to make the thing profitable. And if it was, then we could take it over from there. And kind of the rest is history on that end. But so Amy and I started. We went out there, busted our rear ends, had absolutely no idea what we were doing, and have just kind of tried to grow a little bit every year. It was kind of tough because at 300-acre farm, it's kind of hard to just, we'll just kind of grow slow and see how this goes. It's like, no, you have to utilize that cost and everything that goes into that big piece of land almost immediately. So my wife, Amy, decided there was a barn there with a kitchen in it. And she said, I don't want to go to work. I want to work here. And so she decided she was going to take over that portion of the business and try to do some events. And in about late 2009, we've been doing it about 6-8 months, and I realized I need help. So then at that point, I brought on a business partner, Roddy Pick. And he was a buddy of mine living in Indianapolis at the time. Very similar situation. He was running a distribution company, very unhappy with the situation he was in, and wanted to simplify in life. And I have no idea how I talked him into coming and doing this with me. But we did. We decided to give it a go. And starting in 2010, we started a CSA, and we just kind of went from there. And now you see the farm as it is, 75 members CSA. We deal with a lot of the restaurants here in town. And I would say, as far as the local, they said to talk about local food. So we almost 100% of our food is staying right here in Greenville. Not even really Dacusville as much. It's all coming right here really to Greenville. So we feel like we're a part of the local food scene here, and are really gracious to be a part of it. But really, kind of my point, and I guess if there's an idea for tonight that I wanted to kind of put to you guys, is any of you guys that have young, sons or daughters or, nephews or nieces, kind of the thing that I've learned the most is it's okay to go out and earn a living with your hands in being an educated person. There's nothing wrong with that. And I actually get so much more out of life every day, not sitting in an office and going out and planting vegetables and working with my hands. And everybody's motivated by, you know, different things. And that's kind of what motivates me and what gets me going and gets me excited to go out there and do this. And it's a really hard job, but I guess everybody has a certain thing that makes them tick. And for me, it's going out and working a hard day and seeing the result of it at the end of that day. And for me, as I kind of grow the vegetables at the farm, and I like that because my attention span works in about 75 days. So I'm bored in about 75 days, and it's time to plant something else. So, but that's really my point of the whole thing, is that it took me, I would say that all of our business and the things that we did before helped a lot, because we marketed the farm and we used a lot of our connections that we had here in Greenville in order to get it off of, you know, in order to get it up and running. When we still lived in downtown Greenville, we would bring coolers of food and sell it out of our kitchen before we actually moved out there. Relied on a lot of our network of friends as customers, and I'm sure they dealt with things that they were like, what is this that he grew? I have no idea, but we're going to buy it because we know Chad and Amy. But really, that's the point of it, is that I want people to know that it's okay. You know, when I was growing up, it was a situation where go to college, get a desk job, or you're a loser, you know? And I want people to know that it's okay to go out there and work with your hands, and you can make a living at it. And there's a lot of people that there's jobs that are needed out there right now, people to work with their hands and make a good living. So that's the story.